that little ding gave us the notification that we're starting recording. So thank you very much for coming out today. So as we were mentioning before we started recording, so this is going to be a less scripted session than normal. We are going to show you some key things that we want to share with you with PDFs, and then we're going to open it up to some Q&A so that we can try to help support you for what your needs are in our system with working with PDFs. All right, to start things off, what I've done is in our event, I did create a link to a resource that I actually just quickly threw together because I forgot that there was one of these situations where there is a Google Classroom integration. I didn't forget about that piece, but that there are steps to turn this on. So what I've done is I've included a Google Doc, and I'm not going to necessarily go through this all right now because I know it's hard to be in a Google Meet to watch and click, and turn these on. But the instructions are here, and I have put it out to our Google administrator as well to see if we can turn this on for the system for everybody automatically. And again, I do realize that some people in this room are not educators, you're not in the classroom, and this may not be something that you may need. But this is very handy for us who want to just to parse out some PDFs, let's say, to our students, so we can parse it out as an assignment and so on, and I'll show you how that works. So I will be showing you those tools. So when you are in a PDF and you don't see that Google Classroom integration, these are the steps to turn that on for yourself manually. And then when you do see the steps I go through this process, you'll know how it works. Okay, so there's many different ways we could go here. One of the things I thought I would show you is I have here an email. This happened to be just an email that I received last night. It was from a teacher who's saying, hey, look, I have this PDF, and I opened it up just from her email, the link, and it automatically populated in the Texthelp PDF Reader. This is the default in our board now. We did turn this on so that automatically it should open up to this. If, let's say, for the first time you open up a PDF and it doesn't show you this toolbar, but you will see a PDF block right here. So you can actually click on that, and that will initiate the Google, excuse me, your PDF reader. And that way, when you go through those steps, you just have to accept your permissions, basically your account, and verify it, and so on. So it's just a couple little clicks, and then boom, you're in. And every time you open up a PDF after the fact, you will see this toolbar.
Now, did you just click on the add-on, the extension up on your toolbar there? When you were talking about that add-on?
Pardon me?
Where did you just click when you mentioned that PDF reader there? Because your mouse actually didn't move.
No, sorry. What I'm saying is if you do not see these toolbars, so if you're in for the first time, you will see, and you don't see it on my screen right now, you will see a little box right here that will say PDF.
Over on the left,
gotcha.
Gotcha.
On the left, yeah. It's hard to, and I almost kind of regret, because what I did was I just did this through another account. Maybe I can pull up another account real quickly to see if this works. Let me just grab this. Give me 2 seconds. Maybe I'll have to grab another PDF real quick. It's going to grab. Problem is, it already has the extension in the URL, so it makes things a little wonky, but I can just do a quick search. All right, so let me try to show you. I don't know if I've turned this on for this account or not, and I'll bring this over. Well, I guess we'll see on live here. Let's see.
Get that going, because sometimes with these add-ons, it is a Chrome add-on. So, of course, one critical thing there is you would need to be logged into the actual browser with your TLDSB account to get those Chrome add-ons to work. If I were to just grab a browser that I wasn't logged into and maybe go to my email or go to Drive and pull up files that way, the extension wouldn't necessarily be running, so it might not pop up the way we would expect it to, which is what Tina's going to hopefully be able to launch here as a PDF that's not automatically going into that reader.
Okay, so hopefully, this is like just totally random here.
Mm-hmm.
See if we can actually get a PDF. Nothing like a random situation where I'm trying to get a PDF here. Let's see. Open.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go.
There you go. That works.
So so I don't see the PDF populating here. So that is interesting. So what I might want to do is go to my, because I do want to open up with my PDF reader. They should have automatically given me, and just did this for me this morning. Let me just 2 seconds. I'm going to go to more tools, and I'm going to go to extensions, or maybe it gives me an open with here. No, you know what I'm going to do? All right, I'm downloading this baby, and I've seen this before too, so this is actually good. So I'm going to just quickly download this. And sometimes what I'll do is actually put it in my Google Drive folder and then open it up from there. And that tends to, let's see, we'll do this fly. And I'll just throw it up in here and then we'll open it up. Just gonna throw in this folder here. Okay, and
Perfect.
let me just throw that in. Perfect. Okay, so now that I did it from the Google Drive world, it's like, hey, okay, now what do you want to open with? So I'm going to open up with Read and Write for Google Chrome. And then now you will see that we have the Read and Write PDF Reader. So this is where the permissions comes in. It's like, okay, hey, we know that you want to use this. This is where the Texthelp PDF Reader is going to come up. I want click on my account. I'm going to click Allow. So I'm really glad Chris asked that question because that was important. It's like, well, what if I don't see that? What does that look like? So this is that workaround. So you have that PDF. If it's not emailed to you or if it's not already in your Google Drive, just put it up in your Google Drive and then that should work. So as you can see, there was a bit of a process where not only did I have to install the extensions, how to do that, but there's also the PDF Reader application as well. So it's like kind of all comes in one package. Perfect. So now we're like, all tickets, like, yay, you've got all this. Great. So I can do all that. So I'm going to go back to my worksheet and I'm going to, which one did I have it here? Should be right here. I'm going to refresh that because not always is it just needs a little time to cook and just make sure that it's taken that extension that is an option. Hello, you. Come on. There we go. And open with, let's try that again. Read and Write for Google Chrome. And now you can see in the URL bar here, we have the Texthelp PDF Reader, so you know that it's working. And there we go. So while I'm here, why don't I highlight some of the things that you can do in here? So first of all, one of the main things, whether you're an educator or not, it is sometimes you don't want all the pages. So I'll show you first things first. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want, let's say, the answer pieces to this. I wanted to send out the kids this first page. So to do that, and it sounds weird, but I'm going to click actually on the print icon. So when I click on the print icon, I'm going to change the default printer, if I have it to anything else, let's say to a school or to a personal one, and you change it to Save as PDF. Then I'm going to go to Pages, Custom, and in this case, I only want one page, so the page 1, I mean, and I don't want page 2, and I can choose other options here if I want to drill it down, but basically this is all I want. I just want to save that first page, and I can click Save. And now it's going to ask me where I want to save it, so I can just do it in my downloads for now, just for a demonstration. Otherwise, organize it somewhere in a file that works. And then there you go. So what I can do now is go to my downloads because clearly nothing's changed here. That's not the point. If I go to my downloads real quick. There's my subtraction worksheet. Okay, so now it's like, okay, well, that's not very helpful because I can see now it's opened up into an Adobe Pro type thing. That's not going to give me my markup. So this is very similar to what we were just doing just a moment ago where, hey, I need to get this into my Google Drive to make it work the way I want. So let's go back to my Delete Me folder. I'm going to go back to my downloads, grab this guy, drag it in. And this is just so that we talk nicely in our Google Drive world to our Google extensions and so on. It can't be isolated. It can't be out on my computer because it's not in the Chrome world. We just need to bring it into the Chrome world by bringing it into my Google Drive. So now I have just the one page, and I probably would have taken a little time to name it properly and so on. And there, wrong one. I'll probably open it. Yeah, it's the first one. So I check it. And there's the one page. And again, it's giving me the preview page of it. So it doesn't look like there's anything on here. And I haven't even marked it up yet. And I'm going to go to Open with Read and Write for Google Chrome. So a bit of a roundabout way, but again, if you can get your head around the idea of let's get this in the Chrome umbrella, then you'll be fine. Okay. Gonna refresh that. There we go. Okay, so here we have our document, just the one pager, and I do have all of my markup screens right here. You can ignore this OCR thing right now. That's for Snapburger, but we don't actually need to use that in this case. What's really nice here is now, let's say, even as maybe a student or whoever needs to do this with this, I want to do some markups, or maybe I want to provide some instructions here. So these are the tools that we can look at as to what you can do. So if you hover over any of these, you can see click to speak. Okay, so that's really good here. But a lot of this is math. So I'm going to show you a different way of maybe having some of that math read back to you in a nice way. And here I'm going to look over across here. Here's a dictionary. So these are great tools that you can have turned on, maybe more so for our students. Picture dictionary if need be. This is again about playing. So this is about having it read to you. So if you have lots of text in here, this could be again that speech to text, or sorry, text to speech. To pause that, to stop that. Screenshot reader is very much similar to what we just talked about with in terms of having the text read to me. So I can create a box around something in particular, especially if it's not recognized with OCR. So screenshot reader is always in a snap. You could just put a box around anything. So for example, if I want to do subtracting here, the word subtracting, give it a moment. Because this is a PDF, it's like a picture, right? So that's why the students wouldn't be able to have it read to them normally. That's why this little screenshot reader should be an OCR piece where it should just read to you. And I have a feeling because I'm in the Google Meet, it's taking a lot longer than normal. There you go. So you heard it, hopefully. And I could click play again to have it read to me again. And then I can click on the X when I'm done. So that's something that I could do to have my instructions read to me. So this is a really good AT piece. Here's a translation tool. So again, if I had my words where it's not like just a picture like in the PDF version, I can have this translated, let's say from English to French if that's in my settings. Highlighting tools, I can highlight some of the text if I wanted to. Again, this is just kind of like a plain picture right now, so it's not going to work the best that way. But here's really neat is this typewriter tool. So once I clicked on that, you'll see that it's turned purple. I can click anywhere here, and now I'm given an option to do some typing. Answer the following questions. And this is what most people want, is how to put text in a PDF. I can move this around, or I can, they're here, so let's put it over here. Let's say it's not going to stand out, maybe because it's black. So what I might want to do is change the color. So let's say I want to make it red. And let's say I want the text to be either smaller, larger, and so on. And what I love about this as well is that it can have word predictor. I can turn word predictor on right now. So let's say your students are writing away and they need the assistive technology where they have, maybe the computer helps predict some of the words that you're trying to spell out. This really helps with our learners when they're struggling with some of the words on how to spell. And this is a speech to text. So if I wanted to actually speak out my thing here, let's see how this is going to work. Answer the following questions, period. And there you go. So it took my speech to text, so it was able to do that fairly successfully. You do have to articulate, so that's something that sometimes our learners may struggle with, but that's really good to know. And I can play with the bar here too. I can make it out so that it's not maybe going to be just that little small box where the questions goes underneath, and click on the check mark. And there you go. And now what I could also do, well, let's say I didn't have a lot of real estate. As you can see, answering the following questions here, it's kind of out in the little box here where it's maybe in my way. What I could do is use this Pushpin. So let's say you want to leave instructions for somebody. This is really handy here. And let's say I'm going to do maybe a different color this time. Do your best answering these questions. If you have troubles, please let me know. All right, and again, very similar to just what we just saw. Nothing's really changed. And I can just click the check mark. And now you can see the push pin. This is why it's really nice when I'm saying we're limited on real estate. All I have to do is click on that pin and then I can see this. And that's what the students would see. So it's very handy for them. And again, not taking up all that space. Oops, I still have this selected, so let's get rid of that. Excellent. Okay, so just moving along here, we have the freehand. Freehand drawing can be really nice again. So giving us some options. I can change my line color. So again, let's maybe do purple this time. I could be circling things if that's the way I want to do, or maybe as a student, maybe I want to actually start drawing out the math. So I can do this right now if I really wanted to. I can do that and carry the 1. And with a lot of our students in our system, they actually have touchscreen Chromebooks. So if they have the touchscreen, oops, I added. I just realized it was a subtraction question. So what I can do, hey, I just realized that. So what I'm going to do is use the eraser. That was totally like on purpose, so I could use this eraser, by the way. Not. It totally wasn't. So what I want to do is show you how you can actually do the worksheet with that little writing tool, which is really handy. And again, with the touchscreen Chromebooks, the kids use your fingers. I mean, is it perfect? No. Like, I mean, really it isn't. And I know that even with the space here, maybe the kids will find it hard to draw their math into be small numbers. But there's different tools that you can use. It doesn't have to be like in a PDF, but I'm just showing you specifically with PDFs. One last tool here is the shapes drawing. So you can draw some shapes on the fly here if need be, depending on what you're doing. Clearly, in this case, it probably doesn't meet for what you need to do in this particular worksheet, but just to quickly model that I can add some there, and I can just do even arrows here. Okay, so something like that. And then we're done. And you can see that it's still selected when it's purple underneath. So I can just do that or just change to whatever other tool that I want. So I just wanted, and there's a fill color right now. You can see that's actually transparent. You can change it, of course, so that if you wanted to have the same colors, like maybe a filled in shape, you can do that with an outline color being a different color. So now the next thing is, okay, now that Tina, you've done all this markup. Okay, so what happens? How do I save this? What do I need to do? There's absolutely nothing you need to do here. Just with a Google Doc, I can exit out right now. And what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to close this, I'm going to go back to my folder here. And it looks like even in my thumbnails, it's like there's no writing on it. Oh, well, where's the writing? Where did it go? So I'm going to open up that worksheet again. Just want to confirm this is the right one. And again, even the preview, I don't see the markup. I don't see the purple box you just created. I don't see the little thumb thing, little push pin, whatever. So what I need to do, the real true key here is opening up with Read and Write for Google Chrome. So as I mentioned before, we need to get the document into our Chrome world, and we did that by putting in our Google Drive. What happens then with the Read and Write for Google Chrome or the Texthelp PDF Reader is like we've added a layer to the PDF. So in order to see that layer on that PDF, we have to open up the same tool that we use to draw it. So this would work for the students as well. Same idea. So if you're going to share something out with your students and you've done some markup on the PDFs, you will have to indicate that they need to open it up with the Google Read and Write, which opens up the Texthelp PDF Reader. And now you can see all the markups as I've done. So again, I didn't actually save anything. I didn't have to. It lives and breathes on the level of that document. Now I'm just going to jump to a moment to my other account to show you that when you have, so in this case, I was going to demonstrate that just printing off the one page, but I don't need to do that right now because you've already seen that. But here's the integration that I was talking about with the Google Classroom. So real quick, I'm going to go back to this one for just a moment because you can see that Google Classroom is not turned on. So I'll just go through the steps that's in the document real quickly just to show you that's not huge cumbersome steps. So for those of you who want to maybe see it live and have the sheet to back up on how to do it, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to click on these 3 dots in the top right-hand corner of my Chrome browser. So it's right beside right here where you have maybe a little image of yourself or a letter if you can see because there's no picture for this account that I have. I'm going to go to More Tools. So all I did was 3 dots, more tools, and then extensions. This is where you're going to see all the extensions that you have maybe turned on, or maybe it's been turned on at the district level. Excuse me. The Texthelp PDF Reader is actually turned on at the board level so that every student and every educator, anyone in our system has this. Okay, great. So what I want to do is I want to click on Details. And when I click on Details, if I scroll down just a little bit, so there's extension options. Who knew? Well, this one in particular has some options that I want to make sure that I have turned on. So you want to make sure that in particular, Enable Google Classroom is turned on. So you want that on there. If you, excuse me, if you want to at any time, you can restore the default settings, but you can just turn it on here and open PDFs directly. And then just, you don't even have to click save, you just click out of there and so on. Okay. So now we have this Google Classroom turned on. Let's say I want to actually send this out to my students. So what does that look like? So I click on this. What's going to happen is that it's going to load up all my Google Classrooms. I cannot, in this case, select more than one classroom. So keep that in mind. So if I click this, this is my go-to class that I use, delete me please. What I really like is some products don't have the full options with the integration of where I can choose a material, question, and so on. It's just very limited in terms of just maybe an assignment only. Well, what's great about this product is that's not the case here. I would, however, if I want to parse it out so that every student gets their own copy, I am limited to creating just an assignment. So if I create an assignment and I click go, it's not done yet. It's just now taking me to another spot where I have to give a little more details. So I can say testing, whatever I want, or I could say math worksheet multiplication. I could provide more instructions here, use the tools in PDF, Texthelp Reader to answer the questions on this sheet. Click on turn in when done, please. Okay, because the one thing with a PDF is because it's not fully in like a Google Doc when you assign it out. Yes, it'll parse it out and every student will get their own copy, but there isn't the turn in button, not yet anyways. So at this time, the students would physically have to go back to the Google Classroom and click on the turn in button when they're done their assignment. I can choose again to differentiate here where I don't have to give this to every single one of my students. Maybe there's only a handful of students that need this worksheet. So whether it's to help bridge those gaps that may exist, or maybe for those students who would like to be pushed a little further in their learning. So I can provide that to those students. I don't have to have points. I can choose that to be ungraded. So there's unmarked option there. I don't have to have a due date, but I can, of course, narrow it down. And topics, for those of you who are familiar with Google Classroom, I can specify now maybe under a math topic, or maybe I saw some educators have their topics with this COVID situation where they have it by week so that they know exactly what's due or what is expected of them by week, things like that. I'm going to choose no topic, and then I can click assign. Or I can, just like anything else in Google Classroom, choose to schedule to post, let's say maybe for tomorrow morning, next week, 2 weeks from now, whatever you like. Or let's say I'm not quite ready to finish this up yet. I can just save as a draft. Saving a draft is a really good idea if you're choosing to add more topic or more content to this, where I can go back to the classroom. The PDF already lives there, and I'm going to make sure then that I can attach something else that maybe to help support this learning. But before I keep going, there should be an option here that it parses out, and maybe I missed it, was on the previous page, maybe you caught it, Chris, where every student should have got their own copy. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. Maybe because
right.
it's just
it should be there.
Yeah, it should be there. I have a feeling I know why, because this is the one before I parsed it out and it's not in my Google Drive. So that's why. So normally what would happen is if I went through the whole route of just like the previous one, it would do it where every student gets their own copy. So to model that, I'm going to quickly just jump to now as a student, because I've already done this actually ahead of time, just so that you could do this and just have to log back in. Yeah, with PDFs, that is a common error where it's sent out, you're absolutely right, where everyone can edit it, and it's just a big old mess. So you do want to make sure you disperse it separately. And to do that, you can see that where now as this student, you can see, look, it says her name, dash, and then the actual assignment. So you know with their name attached to it that that was parsed out so that every student gets their own copy. So now to open it up for her, she just has to click on that PDF. Okay, and what we could do here is you can see that I've already played around a little bit in here, is that I can now use, let's say, the freehand drawing tool, and I can do this little work. Or like, hey, I go back, it's like, oh, that wasn't right. It's, you know, she was adding maybe instead of multiplying. So let's get that eraser and erase that. Of course, it's not working. Oops. Just 2 seconds. And anyways, you get the idea. Oh, there we go. Click, click. And there we go. So we got rid of it, and now then she can do the actual math where she's supposed to times it, and you can see why the teacher wanted to use this particular format so that they can write it in, guide them with the boxes for their spaces, and you can see what they expect the last row. So they're going to obviously multiply, and then add their values. All right, and then of course that student will have to then go back and then submit this assignment. So they'd have to actually open up Classroom again, and they'd go back to that assignment and they would have to click on the submit button. Okay, so classwork. And if you go to the sample PDF worksheet again, and you go view assignment, and then they would turn in. So that's how it would look. Now, as the educator, what's really important here is that obviously if you assign the PDF, and we talked about the layering, and you use Texthelp PDF Reader to do the markups, as the educator, you'll have to open it again with your Google Read and Write to get the PDF Texthelp Reader so that you can see everything that they've written. And then you in turn can then leave your feedback using the same tools. And then when you submit, when you say to the student through Google Classroom, hey, it's been returned, the student will then know to open up the PDF, and then they'll see that you have some comments that you may have left for feedback on their work. Okay. I just wanted to show you another example really quickly where, let's say I'm in the Edwin platform. So we do know that we have a lot of students and teachers, so grade 7, 8, 9, and some grade 10s that are in the Edwin ecosystem. I wanted to show you that there is PDFs that live here as well a lot of the times. So just to show you when you know that there's going to be some supporting documentation in the Edwin ecosystem is, let's say if you did a search, or if you're in the library, you'll see with all these learning objects, if you have a little tiny little box like this, this indicates that there's activities and tools. So if that means when I go into that learning object and I go to Educator Tools, and I have the Educator Tools turned on, which means there'll be notes in here that were just for the teacher to view that students would not see. But here's a support document, which is great to help the teacher with the planning with using this learning object. But more importantly, we have the Activities and Tools PDF. So I just want to show you how this is amazing when the PDF Texthelp Reader is enabled, when you've gone through that process to click here, yes, accept, 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 then you're going to actually see how even in these small windows that populate with other PDFs in different environments, because I'm still in the Chrome browser, I'm still in the Chrome world, now all of a sudden I have this black line master that I can, hey, share it out with my students right here, right now, and then the students can complete this handout. So I just want to show you how there's many different avenues of where you can get great PDFs that you may want to work with your students. And it's just a click away of sharing it with your students so they can complete the PDFs and then submit back to you so you can provide feedback. I think that was it for the most part. I think though, maybe before I take any Q&As, just real quick, because I do have another thought in terms of, it wasn't, maybe, no, I'll just stop right there. So I'll stop sharing my screen for a moment and let's go back to the Google Meet. And if there's any questions, something you want to maybe see that we haven't touched base on.
And as always, there's a chat module there in Google Meet as well if anybody's having trouble with their mic.
Absolutely. And I was going to show a math one, and that's where I was like, do I show this now or do I not? Like where it's a little more, I don't want to say complex, but I can show you how in the PDF, how you could take it also with using a tool called like EquatIO, where you can have the math read to you and you could do the math work, which is a little more sophisticated, let's say, than just using the PDF reader, but we don't have to go there if that's not required.
I just have a quick question, if I may. When you opened up that math document the first time, you had to do the extension on that one profile. When you opened it up again, it also said, do you want to open it up with, and then you picked the Google Read PDF Read. Do you have to do that every time that you open up those files? Like, or is it like a document where once you open it up in a PDF or a DOC Word document, it automatically opens up as a Google Sheet doc?
Yeah, no, like when you open it up, whether it's through an email or if it's through Google Drive and so on, what you'd want to do is you will have to choose the open with if you want to do any markups, because really what it's doing is just giving you a preview of the PDF. So if you want to dig in deeper and put that layer on top of it, then you will have to choose that open with option.
Got you. Thank you.
I had a question. Once you do the markup on there, is there a way to get a hard copy of that, or that overlay won't print out with the PDF?
That's a really good question. And I've had that. That's a very good question. So let's just see for just a moment here, freehand drawing, because I'm trying to think I saw both. So let me just see something real quick here. Okay, obviously not one shorthand nor the other. Let me just do a quick little test. And you're talking like physically printing, right? Not just saving as a PDF with the writing on it?
Yeah, because there's the odd time you might want a hard copy of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my preview looks like it's still there, the drawing I just did, and I'll just do a quick little print. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen with you anymore. Sorry. I just went to a PDF where it has a clock, and I just drew in some hands on the clock. Oh, let me just turn back my printer. Okay, let me share my screen while my printer is loading, because that's a really good question. And that's where a lot of people maybe want that.
Yeah, like maybe for the office, Google Classroom, when they can hand it all in and that, but when you're working.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so what I did here was I just used the markup tool to draw hands on the clock kind of thing. And I could just do a smiley face. And then what I did was I clicked on the print icon. And even in my preview, you'll see that it actually has a hand with the face. So that's a good sign, right? And I chose my at-home printer here. It's going to give it a moment because it just had a reboot. And then I'll let you know if it works. Okay, it's thinking.
Can you point to the printer again, please?
Yeah. Is this what you wanted?
No, sorry, on the PDF itself. Where's the printer icon? I'm sorry, it's small and I'm...
Oh, I'm seeing. It's at the very bottom. There is a rotate.
Oh, I see it. Yep,
yeah, you can rotate, and you can do this. And there's a download piece as well. Okay, hold on. Okay. So there you go. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there it is. All right. So I know that for many of you, that's probably the key is, especially if you are the office people and you want to do some write-ups and you want to actually get the write-up with the printing on it. That's perfect. And one thing I didn't show you either is that there is, oh no, I think I did, the typewriter. So again, so even if you're typing in fields, you can do that as well. Is there any other questions? Because that was good. Okay, so I'm going to just jump to a math one real quick, and you'll see where, let's say, let's just do like a fraction worksheet. Real quick, just to show you how you have different options. Again, even from, I'm trying to show you, even as maybe an educator, right from you're starting from doing your Google search to finding the right printable worksheet that you want, and then how to have it basically ready to move forward. Okay, actually, I'm just going to go back. I think I saw, it looks like there was one here. Okay, so let me grab this guy. Go back. Okay, and it should give me an option here. So what I'm going to do is download. So again, what I want to do is I want to download it, have a copy for me, put it in my Google Drive, and go through that route. So I'm going to download that. I'm going to go back to my Google Drive. This was just another account, so. Okay, sorry, with the meat, it just gets a little slow. I'll just put it in this test folder. Okay. And you'll see that I have the open with piece. That's the key piece here. If I don't see that open with, this is where it's all about getting in the Google Drive in that Chrome world. Open with, and I'm going to go to read and write for Google Chrome. You can see the extensions working here. Now, I'm going to ignore, I think this page may have the answers on the second page. That's not the point of this. What I wanted to show you is another tool when working with PDFs that works in here that a lot of people aren't aware of, and it's called EquatIO. So once I click that, because it's another extension, it actually happens to be the same company that owns Read and Write for Google Chrome, this PDF Texthelp Reader. There's a product called SnapVerter, which is the optical character recognition, where you take some PDFs and you can make it now that speech to text, text to speech a little more friendlier. Here we are, though this is about the math piece. So what I probably would want to have maybe is the math read to me, for example. So I mentioned the screenshot reader up here. This screenshot reader is great for words. So if I did this now screenshot reader for adding fractions, it would work fantastic. If I use that screenshot reader though for the math, this is where things fall apart a little bit. So what they've done is they've created a screenshot reader specifically for math. So I'm going to click on that guy. And if I even just do the fraction to start off, because I know it'll be a little slow just due to the Google Meet. (7/13). Okay, so 7/13, and clearly in my settings, I have an English voice kind of thing, and you do have options on how to change that. I can click again, just like the other screenshot reader, I can click play again. 7/13. And more importantly, what I love is that I can actually take this math and edit it with EquatIO as well. So because when you're filling in a math worksheet, that's maybe a little bit hard to do when you're trying to draw it out and so on. But I can actually type out the math here with very easy thing. So I just did the 7/13, but we have the 4/13. Well, I could rewrite the whole question, or I could just take advantage of the fact that I have this fraction in front of me. And I could be like, well, hey, I know that same denominator, 7 plus 4 is 11. So I'm just going to replace the 7 with 11, and I'm going to insert that math. And very much like with using their product up here, I have the math sheet right here where I have this guy moves just the same way. And what I probably want to do is like, oh, you know what? I don't have an equal sign in there. So I probably want to edit that math again. I'm going to put an equal sign in front of there because I know that Miss Franzen is all about the equal sign. So I'm going to do that. And we're going to insert that math again. And just close that down. And there you go. I have the equals 11. I can make this a little bit bigger this way again. I can play with that. I can change, I think that's all I can change other than the position. I can just do that. And I can do the exact same thing right here. I don't have to use a screenshot reader to populate it in here if I don't want to. I don't need to populate it all. I can just, okay, I'm going to go on to the next question now. So I can say, okay, 21 over 22, and I can just go edit math. It's like, well, wait a minute, the last fraction is here. Not a big deal. That's just from before because it just saves the previous thing. All I can do is two things. I can replace the numerator and denominator, or I can start from scratch. I can go, okay, 21 slash, and it gives me the fraction over 22. Insert that math. Oh, Brenton likes that equal sign. And insert math. Take that guy. And again, you can move it over. Can change it to be as small or as big as you want. And the key here is just like with the markups that you did, is that the teacher is not going to see these changes or these answers if the teacher doesn't open with read and write. So that's the whole thing. We need to make sure the PDF reader is being used so that you can see those markups. And there's a lot more I can do down here. I'm not going to do a whole math session with you, but there is about, so if kids, let's say on a Chromebook, let's say they do want to do the handwriting piece, but what's a little more sophisticated than the handwriting piece up here is I will show you this piece. Let's say for the next question, I know that it's going to be 20 over, oh, what was the question again? 20 over 21. So let me go back to this piece. This is what's really neat. So if they have, whether it's touchscreen Chromebooks, or if they want to just use their cursor like I'm going to do right here. So because I'm getting old, I already forgot, I think, what the actual question was, or the answer. I think it was 20 over 21, but we'll see. So I'm going to draw it out. And I want to put the equal sign in front. And then you'll see, give it a moment, there you go. So my drawing, you can see what I meant by being more sophisticated. If I'm going to do the math piece, I can do the hand drawing there, but then they get the text after the fact. Insert that math, and just like before, I can now bring it over here. Okay? And again, there's a mobile piece to this again. I'm not going to, again, I keep saying I'm not going to go into all of it, but you can take a picture of the math. Let's say a student drew out the math work. They could take a picture of it, and it works just seamlessly in getting that math work, the answers, and they can easily put it in after all of these fractions as well. When you get more complex math concepts here, that would be really handy if the kids are just more up to using pen to paper and pencil. No problem. Capture that. Put it in here as an image beside each of these questions, and you're good to go. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
You didn't show us the mobile piece, but so they would need to be logged in with their Google Drive on their mobile device too to integrate?
Well, how about I just do a quick, if you don't mind the time, I'll just take a quick moment because it is very quick on showing you how that works. So let's say, I'm just going to quickly. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And I'll show you what this ends up looking like, where if I turn this guy on, a QR code is going to come up, okay? And what I need to do is now get my phone back up, and I'm going to put the camera on while. Okay, so here's my camera, and all I have to do is scan that QR code. It's going to prompt me now to open up in Safari, and what it's going to do is find my active documents. So there's the fraction worksheet, as you can see, so I'm going to tap on that. I do actually have some options where I can, as I showed you before, I can draw out the math. I could do, let's say for the next question, 14 over 17. And I can then take that math and I can insert it as math or as an image. But if I save as math, you can see how it converted it to the text, 14 over 17. I can throw that in there now by tapping on the blue button right here. If I wanted to do the picture as I was mentioning, so let's just garbage that. And I'm going to go back to the camera option. And I'm going to take a picture, let's say, of the math right here that I did. I'm just going to try to, actually, I could take a picture of the whole thing. And then I can make a box around just the piece that I want to answer, because they don't need the question again. And I'm going to save this part as an image, but I can convert it to text if it can try that as well. So well, let's say save as math. Let's see what happens. There you go, 14/17. So that's one way of doing it. And then I can insert it. And you can even do it as an image, and that works perfectly fine as well. Sometimes if the math is not as clear, that's why I tend to go to just the image itself, because it doesn't always translate nicely over. Does that help?
Sorry. Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think it's one of the coolest tools, actually. So I didn't mind taking it. I love showing that because I think it's one of those aha moments where people have no idea that just the simplicity of just taking those pictures, especially when it comes to concepts like math, which is a little more, and science, a little more complex solutions to things. It's nice to be able to capture it and throw it in.
Okay. So just from a help desk point of view, if they don't have a really good internet, is this going to work for them, or will it be slower?
That's a good question. I think online videos and so on, I don't see it being a huge pig, let's say, when it comes to that. Like maybe the connection piece using a mobile device, there may be just that delay there. Oops. Okay. Yeah. But I can't speak from firsthand on that. So maybe someone in the room who's had maybe experience with that, maybe we'll, I have a feeling, Lisa, we'll find out as we move forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions from the gallery? Oh, question. Okay, so what could be happening when a student is not able to write on a PDF at home? They are able to access a school, but at home, some have told me they cannot write on it. I think it all comes down to, Kelly, is making sure they are logged into their Chrome browser. This is huge. So what I'm going to show you for basic, maybe hopefully this could be helpful for anybody in the room. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. I'm just going to do my other screen this time. And I'm going to go to our doc. So, and when did you see my screen? What's very handy, I think even a lot of people have an aha moments, like how do I get to our doc without knowing maybe the URL or didn't update my bookmarks? If you're not aware, if you're logged in correctly, this little home button, that will take you to our doc. Okay. So now that I'm in our doc, I'm going to show you technology services. And a really good resource here that will help you. Well, two good resources. One, I just updated this last night, where we do now have a learning at home training videos document, so that if you were unable to attend maybe a previous session from yesterday, we did 2 sessions, one on EquatIO with docs, files, and so on, and we did Screencastify, so recording your screen. If you would like to know more about that, we do have that here. But let me go back to the main focus of what we're doing here. This is a great video that Chris created a while back, in terms of, I call it cleaning house. So it's not to say that our staff or our students aren't logged into their TLDSB accounts, but what I'm finding is that sometimes there's that conflict. So they're not only just logged into their TLDSB accounts, but then they have under that umbrella their personal accounts. So this video shows you how you can clean that up, because that's part of the problem. And this has been a huge learning curve for a lot of people at home, both educators, staff, and students, is knowing that, yeah, they're just, I know I'm logged in. Like, yes, you are logged in, but you're also having your personal account that is just, like I said, it's just contract. It's like, well, which account is it? And we only have certain permissions and certain things that are available to you with your work account, but your personal account is just kind of interjecting. So that's the best way I can describe it. So this is the video I have shared out. I probably shared this video at least 50 times in the last 2 weeks. So to make sure that people, and every time they come back, yep, that was it. So my suggestion then, Kelly, is I would share that video. So to grab this video really quickly from this page without having to go to YouTube or anything, there's a really cool way of doing it. Click on the share button. And yes, it's kind of funny. If I copy this right here, it gives me a weird like background image, and with the URL, I actually just right click and copy link address. That's the quick way that I always grab it and share it by email or Google Classroom or however I do it. So that's my quick way of sharing that out with your students. And make sure they clean house, then you're good. If they're on Chromebooks, you're less likely to have issues, because on Chromebooks, you can only log into one world, and that's your TLDSB world, so you don't have these conflicts. So that's always good to know as well. So that's why one of my first questions is to ask is what type of device are they on? And if they are having access issues to like PDF Texthelp Reader and on any of those, I'm guaranteed they're probably not on a Chromebook, that they have this conflict as I'm mentioning. Good questions. Anyone else? Yes. Yeah, Lisa, it's always good to know. We always want to know. So as Lisa's seeing here, so from the help desk point of view, and I always love that, I'm so thankful that you're here to share this. It's always helpful to know what device the user has in the original message. Absolutely. So when you are putting in a help desk ticket, or if you're calling into help desk at any time, please always be prepared to answer that kind of question. So if a student's having issues, ask the student before you call or make that ticket, what are they using? And that really can help us. I have found even with parents, for example, guardian summaries, one of the biggest issues that they've had is they're trying to accept on their phones and it doesn't work through the app. You actually have to go through the browser to accept the invitation. So these are the little things where just knowing even what device people are using would help immensely to help troubleshoot the problem that much quicker. Okay, any other questions? Don't feel that you have to stay right till the 10 o'clock mark. This is just that window of opportunity that Chris and I are available here to try to answer all those PDF questions that have been coming in. And we just want to make sure that everyone is good to go.
The one thing I'll just throw in there to piggyback
Please,
on what you're showing is the option that when you're right-clicking on those YouTube files and such, one question I'll get is things like, how do I share? And we did make a video about this, sharing stuff that's on our dock, because our dock is, of course, locked down to just TLDSB staff. The YouTube videos are not. When you are sharing those YouTube videos and you're sharing the link to the video itself, that's on YouTube, and we've made those public. So the parents and the students and such, as much as they can't get to our doc, you can definitely share some of the tips and information and such that you find on our doc, especially if it's in that video format. So that YouTube video that she's just mentioning there, a teacher could send that to, well, literally anybody, and they'd be able to watch that video. So you won't have any problem sharing videos. You just can't go ahead and share actual pages on our doc. That's all.
Yeah, but usually even not even just the pages, but even our, let's say this one here is a Google slide presentation, same idea, you can share this out as well. So yes, not the pages, the URL, the addresses, but grab the content. We make it available, unless there's some sensitive content, of course, we don't make it available to anybody outside of TLDSB, but for the most part, for what we do, it's a global learning. Thanks, Chris, that's good. And speaking of videos, so this is our Learning at Home page that we just created, and I will be adding the video to this from today's session there, so that if anybody has any questions that maybe that were similar to what you guys had in the room today, that they can see it in the video. So that will be readily available. I will also put here the doc that I mentioned for the PDF Texthelp Reader, so that make sure that you have the integration for Google Classroom. Perfect. I think on that note, since no one else seems to have any questions, and we certainly want to minimize the dead air in the recording. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop recording, but Chris and I will be here if you have any other questions that you just maybe wanted to have, that you just thought of, or wanted to wait till maybe we were done recording.